What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to talk about with you guys, this time actually revolving around the Miami Heat yet again, with some really interesting news that's actually been recently coming out that I think could actually be a very, very good idea for the Miami Heat. And it's been currently reported that the Heat will look into pursuing Paul Millsap in the offseason. Now, this is all being reported by Brandon Robinson. Now, I think this would be a great idea for the Miami Heat if they were able to sign him on a one-year deal. But if it's more than a one-year deal, if it's 2 years, that would be terrible and catastrophic, especially for Miami fans, just based on the fact that this will very much hurt their chances of getting Victor Oladipo or Giannis Antetokounmpo due to the cap, space and all of that type of stuff. I've said it before, I think getting Victor Oladipo would be a very, very good decision by the Miami Heat, as he really fits into their play style and their system. He's a shooting guard that is a two-way player. I still think they need their starting shooting guard. I believe it's been, Duncan Robinson / Jimmy Butler's been starting there. But I think Butler, I don't really know if he works best as a small forward or a shooting guard, but he has been pretty, doing pretty good, kind of battling the wing position with Duncan Robinson throughout the season. But again, getting pretty much Paul Millsap may not be the best idea if it's on a 2-year deal, but if it's on a 1-year deal, I think that would be very awesome for them, because they actually really, really need a starting power forward. And I mean really need a starting power forward. Like, Bam Adebayo has been starting at power forward throughout, most of this season. And even though he's been playing really good there, I still think he'd probably rather play at center. I still think, Heat fans and that would rather him at center. Again, I'm not exactly too sure how that would all go. Obviously, Myers Leonard has been starting at center throughout the season on 20 minutes per, 20.1 minutes per game, 6.1 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 42.9%. But, pretty much, I'd say that Paul Millsap's is kind of an upgrade. Now, look, they could play Paul Millsap at center and continue with Bam guarding the power forward. Look, they'd actually probably do that, but again, I'm not exactly too sure if they would or not. I think they would both it would just be the front court. Like, they wouldn't specifically have a set position. I think they would both be running power forward and center, and they just, keep switching on it and see how it would go, because obviously, Paul Millsap is only 201 centimeters. He's definitely be way too small for a center, but we've seen him be run at center before, and he's actually done a pretty decent job at it, and I believe he's going to be making like $30 million this season. So I do expect, if he was to go to the Miami Heat, that would be cut down to, maybe $10 million or something like that. Maybe even less, because he's actually only playing 24.4 minutes per game. So I could definitely see that being about $10 million, because I expect him to, his minutes to maybe even regress even more. But in 24 minutes, that's only 4 minutes and more than Myers Leonard. He's probably putting up a lot better defense. And look at his numbers: 12 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, and 44% from 3. He's actually been playing relatively decent this season, and again, I'm just not exactly too sure. I think he's definitely going to regress quite a bit, but if they were able to get him on like a 1-year deal of maybe, $5 to $10 million, I think that would be pretty good, because he would only see maybe only play 20 minutes per night, so he's probably not going to be wanting anything more than $10 million. But I believe he's actually making $30 million or something this season, which is a absolute crazy number. And yeah, I definitely, you definitely wouldn't think by how he's been playing and all that type of stuff that it would be up to that much amount of money. But again, it's just really what's been happening throughout this season. And yeah, Paul Millsap, he's been alright, I would say. He's actually been pretty decent. He's a pretty nice role player for the Denver Nuggets. But yeah, I don't really know, but have you guys ever played NBA 2K20 My League or anything like that? Please comment it down below, because I can't be the only one that always sees Paul Millsap sign with the Miami Heat on 2K. I just feel like it always happens, and this would be pretty funny if he actually signed with the team that he always signs with in 2K, which actually means that 2K pretty much got something right for once, which is, again, pretty funny. Back to the days where Kevin Durant would always sign with the Indiana Pacers or something like that. And obviously, yeah, now potentially this is going to be a little bit different. But obviously, yeah, again, not talking about 2K now. I still think Paul Millsap would be a pretty good decision for the Miami Heat. I honestly would think Bam Adebayo would actually guard the center, because I think Paul Millsap is just too small. Even though he played a bit of center at Atlanta, and he's played a bit of center here and there at the Denver Nuggets, I still just think that maybe having him as the power forward would be the right decision. But again, that's just he's about an average defender. I'd say he's pretty decent for his age, obviously. But again, that is pretty cool that they're going to have, you know, all these big three-point shooters. You know, they're going to have Paul Millsap at 44%. Duncan Robinson's, I think, above 40. Tyler Hero's a pretty capable three-point shooter. Not Bam Adebayo, sorry. Myers Leonard's above 40%. They're just going to be a very good three-point shooting team. But, you know, one of the main things Miami always fall back on has been their number one thing for literally years now, pretty much, is defense. And I think that he is an okay defender, but definitely not as good as what Victor Oladipo would be. And you just obviously would way rather Victor Oladipo. But the problem is, if they were able to sign Paul Millsap on like $8 million or something like that, that's still a lot of money. And if they were, you've already got Jimmy Butler on the max. If they wanted, you know, potentially Victor Oladipo, who would be close to the max, and they're going to sign Bam too close to the max, if not the max, then having, you know, Paul Millsap on the team and all the other players as well, there might be a little bit of cap issues there, and I'm not necessarily knowing how that's all going to kind of go when it all does come down to it. But of course, they wouldn't have to, you know, trade anything for Paul Millsap, and I imagine they just sign him in the offseason because they still got big players on big contracts. I think Jay Crowder's on like $8 million. They'll be trying to get him on like $5 million, I would imagine. I think Solomon Hill's like on $10 million or something like that. He's probably going to come on the minimum if they do decide to sign him back. They've still got a couple of bad contracts here and there. They're probably still paying off Dion Waiters somehow, even though I'm pretty sure he got traded to the Grizzlies and they released him and now he's at the Lakers. Watch, they're probably still somehow paying for him. Again, I'm not exactly too sure. But yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of cap issues, you know, when it does all come to that. But again, that would be a pretty clean starting five if they actually did roll out that. You know, probably be, maybe, if they want to, they could literally actually start. You know, I think they want to keep the shooting in there, and I think they are going to want to have potentially, yeah, I really don't know. There's a couple of shooters like Duncan Robinson as well, who could potentially be starting next season, who started throughout this most of the season. Tyler Hero as well. I don't know if they'd run I don't know if they would run Victor Oladipo at point guard. They'd probably want to keep him at shooting guard. But again, I really don't know if they do get Oladipo, what position they're going to start him at. Because they could literally just chuck him at point guard and then play Tyler Hero at shooting guard and then Jimmy Butler at center and then potentially Bam, oh, well, not center, sorry, small forward, and then Bam at, you know, center, and then potentially Millsap at power forward. I think that'd be a pretty lethal shooting lineup and would be actually pretty insane, and the defense would be absolutely insane there as well. So again, I'm not exactly too sure how that's all going to go, but anyway, to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the latest NBA content and NBA news. Don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What is your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you guys think it'd be a good idea for the Miami Heat to actually sign Paul Millsap, or do you guys think they should you know, just not sign him and save up their cap and just work on getting Victor Oladipo or whatever it's going to be? Again, I definitely would really like to know your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. But also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channels. Links for them will all be in the description down below. Definitely go check out my podcast as well if you haven't already. Links for that will also be in the description down below. So as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.